Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening. I am Danielle Moore in with your VON Major News package for today, Monday, November 4th, 2019. In our lead stories nationally, December 4th and 21st VAT reduction days are here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and strange weather phenomenon in Connery, St. Kitts under investigation by authorities. Regionally, UN urges all actors to lend support as humanitarian crisis continues in Haiti. Internationally, Nigerian Army investigates torture video. And in sports, Golden State Warriors star out for 3 months after hand surgery. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, VON.
Welcome back, and now onto the national news.
In 2019, the Discounted VAT Rate Day initiative will be implemented on 2 days. That is Saturday, the 14th December, and the Saturday, the 21st of December.
Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. The Prime Minister made the announcement during his monthly press conference today, Monday, 4th November. The annual Discounted VAT Rate Days, or DVRDs, allow all VAT-registered businesses to charge VAT at a rate of 5% on the sale of goods only. All tangible items that are presently subject to 17% VAT will qualify for the discounted VAT rate. For vehicle purchases, VAT will be exempt for the first 50,000 EC dollars, with VAT at the standard 70% charged thereafter. Prime Minister Harris added that St. Kitts and Nevis stands out in the region by implementing the 2 DVR days.
These dates have been agreed with the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. No other government in the region has had the financial strength to do what we in St. Kitts and Nevis has done in 2015, in 2016, in 2017 and 2018, and we will do again in 2019, God's willing.
Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. An unusual weather phenomenon occurred here in St. Kitts and Nevis on Sunday, 3rd November 2019. Information and video recordings circulated on social media showed footage of what appeared to be a small water spout in the Connery area in St. Kitts. Footages showed a number of items being picked up by the gusting winds and being circulated in the air. The VON Newsline contacted senior officer at the St. Kitts Meteorological Office, Mr. Elmo Burke, who provided this explanation as to what may have occurred.
Right now we are investigating the whole incident to determine if it was a tornado, but I know initially a statement would have attributed it to a possible tornado, but on closer analysis of the data that we have seen so far, we are now leaning towards what we call a microburst, or an outflow boundary. Like when you have a heavy downpour from a thunderstorm cloud, you have a outflow boundary of air rushing across at the surface, and that is what is most likely attributed to. But we're still doing our investigation.
He further provided this media house with a more detailed explanation on the weather system.
Every now and then, once weather conditions are right, we always have these water spouts, because water spouts are similar to a tornado, but it's just that it's over the water. So every now and then you can have a water spout moving over land. So that could have been a tornado. But we are not saying that this particular episode was one of those, because most of the information that we are seeing so far, which would have indicated that in terms of the movement of air, was concentrated at the surface with no connectivity to the clouds above. And as such, we are now leaning towards the microburst as a more likely candidate in terms of what triggered the event.
Mr. Elmo Burke. Mr. Burke noted that there was minimal damage caused as a result of the event. Our efforts to ensure that each eligible person gets only one vote and in the right place will depend on all of us working together. Those were the words of the Supervisor of Election here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Mr. Elvin Bailey, as he addressed the nation on the electoral process on Monday, 28 October 2019. The statement comes as election draws near in St. Kitts and Nevis, with some 2 months remaining in 2019 and elections constitutionally due in early 2020. With the registration process ongoing throughout the year, Supervisor Bailey provided figures that have resulted thus far from the process following the posting of the Annual Registrar of Voters, or ARV, on January 30th, 2019.
As a result of the publication and posting by the legally stipulated date, the office received a total of 698 objections based on incorrect addresses, 179 in Nevis and 419 in St. Kitts. These objections are not recorded at the office by party affiliation, but rather by constituency. There were objections in 9 of the 11 constituencies. None were received in the constituencies of St. Christopher 6 and from Nevis 10. The constituencies with greatest number of objections based on perceived incorrect addresses were number 3 with 150, number 9 with 144, and number 2 with 112.
Supervisor Bailey exclaimed that his office has made the process more accommodating to individuals eligible to vote.
This commission has allowed for a 4th outcome, as it prefers enfranchisement rather than disenfranchisement, and it fully understands and supports adult suffrage. Thus, it has allowed for persons to transfer their names rather than have the names removed. For clarity, in processing a transfer request, the voter remains on the register at the existing address until moved to the updated address. They are not removed from the register.
Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Elvin Bailey. Following a statement released by the Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Elvin Bailey, the opposition St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party, or SKNLP, is accusing the Electoral Office of disenfranchisement. An official statement in response to the statement made by the Supervisor of Elections, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party is categorically rejecting the statement by Mr. Bailey. The party notes that the message conveyed is highly deceptive, as it obfuscates rather than clarifies the truth and facts of the realities taking place in the execution to the duties and responsibilities of the Supervisor of Elections and the officers and staff of the Electoral Office in accordance with the stipulations of the National Assembly Elections Act and the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis. They went on to add that the statement was issued by Mr. Bailey has only served to further clarify what the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party has been saying about the Supervisor of Elections for some time, that Mr. Elvin Bailey has been appointed to assist the parties in government in subverting democracy and disenfranchising opposition supporters. The party says that it takes no issue with the Supervisor of Elections quoting of the law, but that the issue is the Supervisor's systematic denial of the opposition parties and their supporters of their rights and privileges. In more national news,
the ministry stands ready to rise to any occasion and to respond swiftly and effectively to changes in the youth environment. Even so, just as it takes a community to raise a child, it requires the entire country to raise a generation. Therefore, I call on everyone to continue to support youth work and young people simply because it's our civic responsibility and our God's given duty.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Youth, the Honorable Sean Richards. The Deputy Prime Minister was speaking on the occasion of Youth Month 2019, which is observed annually in November. Each year, Youth Month presents an opportunity to lend focus to the positive uplifting of the nation's youth. Meanwhile, Minister Richards gave this reminder to youths of the Federation.
I would like to remind our youth that the opportunities presently afforded to you did not just suddenly materialize out of nowhere. In many cases, tremendous sacrifices were made by past and present generations, and in other cases, large sums of money were invested so that you could be better off today than you were yesterday. I urge you, therefore, to take a moment to consider the sacrifices made on your behalf, and I implore you to show gratitude, appreciation, and to pay that price forward to those who will come after you.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Youth, the Honorable Sean Richards. The theme for Youth Month 2019 is Empowering Our Youths to Follow Their Dreams, Youth Month 2019. In more national news,
the police station Newcastle, I'm told, is now again going through the final touches. They're doing things like tiling and the interior work. So I would anticipate that that too should be ready for this year. For an opening, Minister Jeffers is the lead on that particular project, but I would anticipate that project too, by the end of the year, should be ready.
That's Nevis's Premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley. He was speaking in relation to the Newcastle Police Station project here on Nevis. After a decision was taken by the NIA in 2016 to shut down the old police station as conditions there were unfit for persons to work in, the facility was demolished with the aim of safeguarding individuals from unhealthy conditions. Due to the closure of the station, police officers who were stationed there were deployed to neighboring police districts as a temporary measure. Member of the opposition of St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, SKNLP, will meet with their nationals in Miami and New York on Saturday, November 9th and on Sunday, November 10th. Deputy Political Leader and Parliamentary Representative, the Honorable Marcella Liburd, will lead party officials at the meeting in Miami at the St. Kevin's Episcopal Church Hall, 3280 Northwest 135th Street, Opa-locka, 33054, Florida. The meeting begins at 6 p.m. Accompanying the Deputy Political Leader are SKNLP's Chairman and candidate for St. Christopher 8, Dr. Terence Law, candidate for St. Christopher 1, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, candidate for St. Christopher 4, His Excellency Steve Rensford, and candidate for St. Christopher 5, His Excellency Kenny Douglas. In New York, the meeting will be held at the Nativity Ballroom, 3061 Brainbridge Avenue, Bronx, New York, 10467 at 6 p.m. And finally, in our national news segment, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris has extended congratulations to the government and people of Antigua and Barbuda in light of the country's 38th year of independence on Friday, November 1st. Prime Minister Harris stated in a letter addressed to the Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister, the Honorable Gaston Brown, 38 years of nationhood is indeed an important milestone worthy of celebration. It is a time to reflect on many challenges you have overcome as a sovereign state and press ahead with strong sense of purpose and optimism. The theme, Embracing Our National Pride, selected to commemorate the country's independence anniversary, speaks to your willingness to acknowledge and celebrate your identity as a nation, Prime Minister Harris said. Antigua and Barbuda gained its independence on November 1st, 1981. And that's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on our Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Life can be more fulfilling when we take the time out to smell the roses. And that's why your friends and family at the Bank of Nevis are experts at picking the flowers that best describe you. Whether you're planning to treat yourself after a long work week or finally getting around to that closet update, you deserve all the special things that life has to offer. And the Bond Visa card is here to help you achieve it. With just a swipe, you can turn a last-minute lunch date with friends and family into something worth remembering, with memories that will last a lifetime. Pampering yourself just got a whole lot easier. And after all, you deserve every refreshing moment of it. The ability to make your travel arrangements at your own convenience, whether by sea or by air, now rests within the palm of your hand. With a single swipe, the Bond Visa card can put a world of difference between life and truly living. Whereas the only limit you may have is your own imagination. Apply today. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Welcome back, and now for the regional news. Out of Haiti, expressing deep concern for the impact on human rights of ongoing political unrest in Haiti, the UN Rights Chief on Friday called on all actors to acknowledge the grievances of Haitians, many of whom have been demanding the president to step down amidst violent demonstrations, which ignited a sprawling emergency in recent weeks. Haitians have taken to the streets repeatedly in the past 16 months to protest corruption, inequality, and economic hardship. Since the latest demonstrations began on September 15th, sweeping the streets of the capital, Port-au-Prince, 42 people have died and 86 have been injured in escalations, Michelle Blanchet, High Commissioner of Human Rights, said in a statement from her office, OHCHR. The political and humanitarian crisis stems from the struggle between President Jovenel Moïse and a surging opposition movement, which, coupled with economic struggle and corruption, has led to soaring prices of basic goods and crumbling healthcare facilities and pushing the country to the brink of collapse. According to news reports, Moïse has said he has no intention of leaving office. The majority of victims suffered gunshot wounds, according to information received by OHCHR, with 19 deaths at the hands of security forces and others by armed demonstrators or unknown perpetrators. Among those killed, at least one was a journalist, 9 other reporters have been injured, and many have reportedly been threatened. Ms. Blanchet urged all actors to refrain from targeting journalists and respect the freedom of the media to do its job. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Speaker of the House of Assembly Jomo Thomas, on Tuesday, October 29th, announced he was quitting the ruling Unity Labour Party, ULP, of Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves and would leave his post as Speaker early into the new year. Thomas, a human rights lawyer and activist who was the ULP's candidate for South Leeward in the 2015 general election, told reporters that he had no intention of offering himself as a candidate in the next general elections. Prime Minister Gonsalves said on Monday, October 28th, that general elections would be held at the end of 2020, ahead of the March 2021 constitutional deadline. According to nationnews.com, Thomas told reporters that he had come to his decision primarily because the time, the energy, the money, the effort cannot be properly justified considering the current state of play in the party. Consequently, to allow for the ease of transition and to allow for a sense of clarity to prevail, particularly among long-suffering and neglecting people of South Leeward, I formally remove myself as caretaker for the constituency so that others who may desire to represent can move forward, he told reporters. In Grenada, the country is seeking the extradition of 2 St. Vincent and the Grenadines nationals accused of staging robbery at the Grenada Union of Teachers Credit Union in Carriacou early in October. The men were arrested in St. Vincent and the Grenadines last week Friday, and investigators from Guyana traveled to Kingstown to assist with the investigations into the crime. The Grenadian police had issued a wanted bulletin for the men soon after the October 11th robbery. And finally, in our regional news segment, Bahamas Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has announced a new value-added tax or VAT relief policy for the Abaco and the Cays and Grand Bahama until June 2020 as part of the government's effort to stimulate the economies of areas affected by Hurricane Dorian. Caribbean 360 says under the new policy, individuals and businesses will be exempt from the payment of VAT on a range of items including unprepared food of all types, water, fruit and vegetable juice, clothes, shoes, hats, belts, etc. That's it for the regional news segment. International news is up next. Welcome back, and now into the international news. India's top court has accused state governments of passing the buck on air pollution and failing to take action to tackle Delhi's toxic smog. The Supreme Court said authorities were only interested in gimmicks rather than concrete measures to combat pollution levels. Levels of dangerous particles in the air, known as PM2.5, are at well over 10 times safe limits in the capital. City authorities have responded by launching a car rationing system. More in this BBC report.
It's pretty difficult to breathe. It's a smoky, slightly putrid smell in the air, and I can feel an itch in my throat. Some people here are walking around in masks, but it's a real public health emergency, and the most affected are vulnerable groups like homeless people, like tuk-tuk drivers, like the traffic police, also children and the elderly.
At least 3 people were shot dead when protesters in the Iranian consulate in Iraq's holy city of Karbala on Sunday night. The protesters, who demanded that Iran stop interfering in Iraq's international affairs, climbed the consulate's walls. Reports say that security forces opened fire, but another account says unknown gunmen were responsible. There are also reports that security forces fired live rounds at protesters gathered in Baghdad today, Monday. The Nigerian army is investigating allegations that soldiers tied up and killed a suspected Islamist militant before burying him in a shallow grave. A video showing men dressed in army fatigues torturing and killing the victim was widely circulated on media apps over the weekend. It is not clear when the footage dates from, but the army says it was probably filmed in the northeast, where jihadists have been fighting for years. More in this BBC report.
In a statement, the army condemned the acts shown in the video, which it said was likely filmed in northeastern Nigeria. It added that the culprits would face military justice. The graphic footage shows a half-naked man tied by the elbows and ankles being dragged across a field by men in military fatigues. One of the perpetrators tells the victims he deserves to be punished for making them leave their homes to come to Borno State. The man is eventually dropped into a shallow grave where he's shot and buried. It's unclear when the video was filmed.
The mayor of Nuremberg in Germany has attacked a far-right party for openly racist comments about a teenage girl picked to be a Christmas gift bringer. The member of an Alternative for Germany, or AFD, attacked Benigna Munzi, who will open the city's Christmas market. The teen was born in Nuremberg to an Indian father and a German mother. You would laugh about it if you didn't know these guys are serious, but you could cry about this level of hostility, Mayor Ulrich Mali said. He said there had been idiotic comments about previous children chosen for the traditional role of Christ kind or Christ child, but this attack had been openly racist connotation. That's it for the international news. Sports is up next.
Property insurance Insurance Company Limited. We care about your investment, guarantee you peace of mind. The best team in the business, guarantee you peace of mind. No other company will guarantee you peace of mind. Together we'll succeed and guarantee you peace of mind. CDC Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Welcome back, and now into sports. In basketball, Golden State Warriors guard Stephen Curry has been ruled out for at least 3 months after having surgery on a broken hand. The two-time NBA Most Valuable Player suffered the injury when he was driving to the basket in Wednesday's 121-110 defeat at the Phoenix Suns. The Warriors said the 31-year-old is expected to make a full recovery. Curry has averaged 20.3 points, 5 rebounds, and 6.5 assists in the Warriors' 4 games so far this season. However, the team, who have reached the NBA Finals for 5 years running, have struggled in the early season, suffering losses to the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Los Angeles Clippers, as well as the Suns. The team was already without another star player in Klay Thompson, who is likely to miss the entire season with a knee injury, while former MVP Kevin Durant left as a free agent in the summer. In football, Lionel Messi has been included in Argentina's squad for friendlies against Brazil and Uruguay next month after his 3-month international football ban ended. The Barcelona forward, 32, was sent off in Argentina's Copa America third-place playoff win over Chile on July 6th. He was later banned after claiming the Copa America was corrupt. Messi, who has scored 5 goals for Barcelona this season, missed 4 matches for Argentina during his ban. Argentina faced Brazil in Saudi Arabia on November 15th and Uruguay in Israel on November 18th. And finally, in cricket, Bangladesh recorded their first 2020 international win over India with a 7-wicket victory in Delhi. The 9th meeting between the teams, India, captained by Rohit Sharma, were put in and made 148 for 6, Shakir Dhawan with 3 fours and a 6 in his 41. Wicketkeeper Mushfiqur Rahim struck an unbeaten 60 and skipper Mahmudallah hit a 6 to win the match as the Tigers triumphed with 3 balls to spare. With air pollution in the north of India at unbearable levels, according to Delhi's chief minister, many of Bangladesh's players and coaches have donned protective masks during training in the lead-up to the game. The second of 3 match series takes place in Rajkot on Thursday. The summarized scores are India 148 for 6 with 20 overs, Dhawan 41, Aminul 2 for 22, and Shafiul 2 for 36. Bangladesh 154 for 3 with 19.3 overs, Mishfiqur 60, Sakar 39. Bangladesh won by 7 wickets. That's it for sports. The weather is next. The weather tonight, partly cloudy to cloudy with a 70% or high chance of showers and a 20% or slight chance of thunderstorms. The weather tomorrow, cloudy with a 70% or high chance of showers and a 40% or moderate chance of thunderstorms. Winds east at 22 to 33 kilometers per hour or 12 to 18 knots. Some gusts in showers are possible tomorrow. Seas 1.2 to 1.8 meters or 4 to 6 feet. The sunrise tomorrow is at 6:10 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Monday, 4th November 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, December 14th and 21st, VAT reduction days here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And strange weather phenomenon in Connery, St. Kitts, under investigation by authorities. Regionally, UN urges all actors to lend support as humanitarian crisis continues in Haiti. Internationally, Nigerian Army investigates torture video. And in sports, Golden State Warriors star out for 3 months after hand surgery. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Daniel Moore wishing you a pleasant evening.
Bye.